All right, traders, in this video, what I'd like to do is teach you how to build floating workspaces within the Tickblaze platform. Now, unlike the docked workspaces, the floating workspace is really meant for custom screen real estate so that you can build the layouts that you would like to build either with on one monitor or on multiple monitors. And what's different about the docked workspace to the floating is that the floating layouts are basically independent from the main control center of the platform. So normally the way that this works, you'll notice here I have a docked workspace already built. I'm going to minimize this a little bit, and I'm just going to grab the corner and I'm going to drag it up here like this, and I'm going to create a different type of look and feel for my platform, right? And what I like to do is I like to kind of maybe just move it over a little bit like this and leave it like that. And what we'll do is we're gonna build a floating layout so that you can save a workspace inside of the platform for floating. And the best thing to do is go up here to menu, go to workspaces and create new floating workspace. I never like to build them off the default in case I don't want to see it and I can toggle back and forth. So let's go here and create this, and you're gonna see a little save as window. I'm gonna put demo floating workspace and hit OK. And what you'll see here is if I come into the workspaces, I'm now building on the demo. If I switch it back to default, it would basically switch back to default. And you can do that for as many layouts as you want. But for now, let's get started and build this workspace. So up here, this is the main drop down for building a floating layout. I'm gonna go to new, I'm gonna go to chart, and you're gonna see that now this chart is basically a floating window. So what we can do is we can basically set this up here in the middle like this if you choose, okay? Then we can come over here and we can basically position, let's say we wanna do a watch list. I can build a watch list over here on the left, right? You have the ability to build a watch list like this. I can then bring over here and I can add a time and sales. Let's say we want to put the time and sales down here over here, just below the watch list, right? You can move these windows around. I'm doing this on one monitor for the purpose of filming this video for a tutorial, but you can actually move these on multiple monitors, right? If you have 4 or 6 or 8 monitor layouts or even 2, you can build multiple layouts on your different monitors and as you see fit. Let's continue on and add a dome, right? We'll pull it over here to the right and let's make it a little wider, okay? And we'll drag it down. Now, just like we did in the prior videos for the dock workspace, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add instruments here. So let's go to edit symbols. For this example, I'm going to load, let's just say, some cryptocurrencies, right? So I'm going to go down here to filter by symbol group. I'm going to come down and I'm going to find crypto. I'm going to select all the symbols and hit OK, right? And there's my list of cryptocurrencies, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link these. Let's just link it to yellow, and let's just choose a different color this time. And let's do that. And we'll cause that so that every time now when I click on market, right, there's Bitcoin, and you can see here. Now I don't have level 2 for Bitcoin, and that's just part of the data access of this. So you won't see the inventory on the dome. If you wanted to say add another watch list, what's nice about the floating layouts as opposed to docked is that we create multiple tabs here on each of these independent layouts. So let me just kind of walk you through what that looks like. If I wanted to create a watch list for crypto, I could just say this is crypto here. And then I could come down here, create a new, and I could build another watch list, go in here to edit symbols. And let's say I wanted to add futures, right? I come down to symbol group. I could come in here to futures. I could add those over. Let's hit all the front month contracts. Make sure we're looking at the right data for each of the markets, hit OK. And what's happening here is I'm gonna link this to yellow as well. So if I wanna click on futures, now I have a futures watch list and I've got a crypto watch list. Let's go just label this futures. Okay, very simple. And the whole purpose is that I can build a layout and I can create multiple tabs within each individual layout. Now you can create tabs on a docked workspace as well. It's just drag and drop, right? It's a modular UI, whereas the floating is independent. So everything is independent on its own windows. And so if I wanted to create a new chart, I literally come up here, hit new, and I can create a new chart. And let's say I wanted to link this. Let's say I wanted to put this as the daily, and I want to put this as my 5 minute, right? And I just switch the time frames down. One is for my big picture analysis, and the other one is for my entry timing, right? And the whole purpose of floating is that you have the customization to minimize and to maximize a layout. If I wanted to maximize this window, I could. If I wanted to maximize the dome, I literally could, right? You have that flexibility. And that's the difference between a floating layout and a docked layout, because let me just show you the docked for a second. The docked is modular. So if I want to create a new chart on the docked, I go new chart, and I can drag and drop it all over the place, right? I can move it to the left, move it to the right, or tab it like this. But if I go into floating, these are not drag and drop, click and click. These are maximize or minimize windows. It really allows for a multiple UI experience, right? And the reason we did this was to give you ultimate flexibility on how you want to build your workspaces. You have the functionality of trading on the chart. You can trade on the dome, right? You can add orders. Let's go down and add an order window, because that's something I think is very important if you want to look at positions. You have the flexibility to do that in the chart. As we've mentioned previously, you have the ability to see your orders always inside the chart infrastructure. But if you want to create a new orders tab, right, or positions, you could add a positions window down here, and you can basically create your own window, and then you can move it however you choose. If you don't want to see that and you want to basically have your own order management window here, you can position yourself here and you can build that accordingly. It just depends on if you want different tabs. And you can see I could create a new tab, and I could change this to maybe say close positions. And then I can create a new tab, and I can change this to broker positions, right? So open, close, broker. You have that flexibility. And what's nice about this is that if I wanted to create a new chart, okay, I have the ability to essentially drag and drop it inside this module as well. This is something that is completely new to the user interface. So let me show you what's really, really fancy within Tickblaze's floating layouts is that I have the ability to link this. Let's take a look. I'll link this now. Okay. But let's say I wanted to create a new chart within this layout, right? Within this one window, right? Like maybe you wanted to really get fancy and create a new chart. Let's say I want to put this as a 1 minute, right? Like I'm doing a 5 minute, then I go down a 1 minute, but I don't want to see it on a tabbed interface. I want to see it side by side. I can move that within one layout. And that is really, really fun, because what this allows you to do is it allows you to have both modular user experience inside the floating windows. And that's the difference between a restrictive platform and a sky's the limit platform. If you want to build layouts that are super fun, super flexible, super user experientially friendly, you can do that. So if I come in, you can see now I have modular UI, but in a floating layout, which to me is the best of both worlds. I normally personally prefer having a floating layout because then I have flexibility to minimize and maximize my windows, but I also like the flexibility of dragging and dropping, right? So if I want to do that, I can do that. And this is what really allows me to create the most user-friendly customer experience for charting and for trading that I've ever seen in this business. And the reason we did this is because we understand what traders need. We understand that traders want to have the ability to build the layouts that make them comfortable, that's easy, that's user-friendly, and most importantly, customizable, right? There is no one trader that trades the same way, that likes their charts to be laid out the exact same way. And we want to pass that enjoyment on to you, the user. Right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to transition to some other different videos. So if you have any questions on the floating workspaces, make sure that you always save your work. Come up here and hit save. You know, you can basically hit save. Okay, I'm gonna hit the save and I'm going to go to custom and I'm gonna go demo floating workspace and hit save as. Okay, and that's gonna basically save that for you. That way, if I want to toggle back to the default, I don't see it, right? If I wanna go in here, I can basically look at my docked layouts. If I want to open up my floating, I can load the floating. There it is, it's all over, right? I normally like to basically minimize the docked. I don't like to have the floating over the docked. It's just my own personal preference. That way I can actually see the actual layouts that I've built on the floating. We'll give it a second to load and it'll move everything into the correct locations. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that tutorial. This is a deep dive on building customizable floating windows with a combination of using the modular UI inside the floating layouts. Take care, traders, and we'll see you in the next video.